Hi everyone. In a previous video, we saw the components of VPC, and if you haven't seen so far, I request you to go and check it out. Now, in a VPC, what we are going to do is we are going to see that we are going to zoom on something which is called as public subnet. In a public subnet, I'm going to create a website called xyz.com and host it on an EC2 instance. Obviously, I want people to come and visit my website. The moment I throw my website in a public subnet, which means that people from internet would be able to see the components and people would be able to access that, which means traffic will start coming in within your VPC and you need a traffic cop, you need a controller to govern the traffic. In this module today, we are just going to talk about subnet. At subnet EC2 level, we're going to just talk about security group. That security group, shorthand, I write it as SGE. This security group, as a part of analogy, I also say that this is a security watchman, security guard of EC2 instance. So when you create a freshly EC2 instance, and if you haven't configured security group well, and if you're trying to access it from any IP address and any port, it would be a black box. You won't be able to access it. Which means if I want my website to be accessed via HTTP and HTTPS, that is port number 80 and port number 443, I'll have to go and configure the security group of this EC2 instance. I'll have to say, please allow my guests to come from any IP address from port number 443 and 80. And see now, the EC2 will respond back to you. So when I'm requesting www.xyz.com, it will give a response back to me. But for all other IP addresses, for all other ports, excluding 443 and 80, you won't get a response. It will deflect back. This is just like everyone. If I'm coming to train in your office today, when I'm coming in, Watchman, your security guard, will ask, Shashank, where are you coming in from? What is the purpose of nature of visit and so on? If I'm allowed to come in, I'm allowed to go out. In the morning time, I'm asked when I'm coming in. But in the evening, they won't ask me to sign in to the register. They will say, hey, just deposit the ID card and you're allowed to go out. Which means the security watchman remembers this guest has come to your home and he's allowed to go out. Or this guest has come to your office and is allowed to go out. That is called stateful in nature. It remembers that once you're allowed inside, you're allowed to exit. So basically, there is only a incoming register, inward register. This is similar to MyGate application, where you're approving the guest to come in. Yeah. If nothing is approved to come in, no one can enter your house, which means that this EC2 instance is something called as a black box mode. No one can access it. No one can discover that EC2 instance. Security groups are associated with EC2 instance, and it's recommended for you to know which ports and protocols you have allowed. Knowing these things is going to help you in architecting on AWS professional exam, and so on. Now I'm trying to go to show you that in a web application scenario, you will have a web server, you will have an app server, and you will have a database. Typically, the blue boxes are for private subnets, and the green ones, which we draw earlier, is for the public one. The web server, which everyone can access from anywhere, would be put up in public subnet. I'm writing it as a shorthand with W. App server, it will be A written with shorthand A, and it will be in private subnet. Your database, where your customer transactions and everything are kept, would be obviously always kept in private subnet. Now, if I want to access the xyz.com, I'll log in to xyz.com, which will take me from web public subnet. I can access the website only via HTTPS port 443. From the web server, we went to the app server. And once authenticated, App Server Security Group will allow only the traffic which is coming from port 80, and the database server will allow only the traffic which is coming from port 3306, which we'll see later. All in the end, I just want to say, if you're trying to access the app server from internet directly, bypassing the web server, it won't work. Similarly, app server will allow you to talk to the database, or the database will allow only the traffic which is incoming from the app server, and that also from the port 3306. This port number may change if you have a different database and the database has a different port ID. If anyone is trying to access from internet directly, it won't be allowed. If anyone is trying to access even from the app server over a different port, it may not be allowed. So go and check it out, what ports are available or what ports are whitelisted, and keep a good stock of it. So the flow sequence would be is you accessing from internet to web server to app server to the database. Ensure that app server is listening only from the web server port 80. Database server allows only the traffic which is coming in from app server port 3306, and so on. So what we did, everyone, we created a chaining mechanism. This chaining mechanism is made to keep your database secure. So at the start, when we talked about the web server, people from internet, people from the world 0.0.0 were able to access a web server. We are creating a funnel-like system, the funnel which is used to fill the kerosene. All people in the world are able to access your web server. But the app server can be accessed only from the web server and only via port 80. Similarly, the database, the final end resultant which you wanted to access, can be accessed from the app server and only via the port 3306. Yep. So do you see that how we started reducing our traffic? Okay. So only login and authenticated users can go to my database. No one from planet Earth or internet can access my database directly. Neither you can jump from web server to the database directly. Neither you can jump from app to the database directly until it is configured well. Yep. So what are we doing? We are trying to create a chaining mechanism. This is to ensure that accidentally your database is not exposed to public and only authenticated people are able to access your database. That's all about security group, everyone, in this particular module. We'll see NACL in upcoming videos. Thank you.